Aussie Brick Chick here with another Tuesday tutorial, number 13. Wow, if you guys have been watching me from the start, well done. You've made it to a really big number. We've been focusing on Micropolis lately, and now I'm going to turn to residential housing and a few different ways that I make houses. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list of how to go about making little houses, but this is just how I go about making some of my houses or smaller structures. So I'll do a really quick overview to show you here what sort of pieces that I use basically to make these sorts of houses. So come with me, we'll have a closer look. So you can see here that I've got a fair few two-story houses and one little low one-story house. Don't pay too much attention to the crazy colours. I've just made up something with what I've had handy in my brick box. So if we take a first look at the one on the corner here, you can see that I've used some of the fencing that we looked at in an earlier tutorial, and just use these little grill pieces to designate the fence in between each property. I haven't done any work at the back here because I figured I'd just keep it simple and plain so that we can focus on the buildings. So your basic two-story building and how I make it has two layers, just like the layers in the bigger buildings that I've shown you previously. So you start with a first layer. I usually have some walls. You can either use a brick facade or just a plain brick if you prefer. And I usually put something to designate a garage underneath the house, because that's pretty common for houses in Australia. Of course, you might choose to do it a little bit differently if your country has a different style of house, but this sort of reflects the kind of housing that I see around me. By all means, get inspired by what you see in your local area or pictures on the internet of architecture. So at the front, I've also tied it in with a street with a little driveway that you can park a car in. And then on top of that, I usually go the second layer in nice colour, a bit of a clear brick to indicate window. There's not much room for play for windows along the side, so that's a detail that I make a compromise on. And for the roof line of this particular one, I've used this roofing piece with the slopes like that. It has two angled sides and a flat side, so you pop two that have those angles together and it makes a nice sloped roof, and you're flat at the back. Of course, if you were going to make a slightly longer building, you would just add two more, like I have in my Japanese gardens building. And you can see that I've also added a little bit of greenery either side. You can add some flowers and stuff like that, and whiz bang, you've got a great house. Moving right along to our lower level house, and another type of roof that you could choose to make. If I can get it off. It all wants to come off in one piece. Okay, I'll just pull the whole thing closer to you. So you can see it's like this bow type of a slope. And underneath it, I've got a couple of plates that are the same colour. So it makes a rounded roof for something a bit more modern. You'll see at the front here, I've got a couple of windows or doors. I could choose to use a 1x and put a window or door to the side. So these are just bricks with the stud on the front like that with a little lip on them. We'll pop this all back together. And there's a couple of ways that you can use those particular bricks. I will try and make another building shortly so I can show you the other way around that these particular Erling bricks are used. So I've got a couple of 1x2 bricks to make the rest of the building. Of course, you could go a bit further and make it a longer building. But I haven't chosen to for the sake of brevity with this one. You need to have all the bricks lined up nice and neatly to pop it back on the base. It's not liking me right now. Okay, so here we've got an example of a hedge fence between houses, just to show you how you might use hedging plants to make a fence. Now this is another style of 2-story house here. So on the front we use this little fence piece. I'll just try and take the top layer off for you. Of course I use some, instead of using a whole brick I use some plates this time. Okay, so we've got this grilled sort of brick. It has 2 sides to it. Usually I use this side for garage doors. So that makes a garage door. Then we've got some bricks to make up the first floor. Second floor you've got some 1x2 bricks. That just pops on there like that. The roof we've used some pretty basic slopes in red. These come in a lot of different colours, so you can have a pretty rainbow coloured house if you like, or you can go for bland and boring. This is pretty basic. You could also put in a tile like I did over there, but I just wanted to hurry up and show you guys this because I made this last night. So we got some little flowers down the side there. We've got another grilled fence. So we'll have a look at this last house real quickly. Same sort of design as the one previous. If I can take the top off. Yay! Main difference being that I've used these clear panel pieces for a bit of a modern house. Again, we've got a clear, but this time trans black because it's got tinted windows, and some 1x2s all the way around. And then on top of the roof we got these sloped grill pieces that make a nice sort of architecturally pretty roof line. So it looks like a fairly modern sort of 2-story house there. And of course the grilled brick at the front for the garage door. And then for a little bit of garden we've just got a little palm tree or banana tree here in the corner, which is pretty Australian, well in my neck of the world anyway. So there you go guys, that's a quick overview of 4 different ways that I build residential houses. This is, like I said, not an exhaustive list of how you would go about building houses, but gives you an idea of some of the basic components of how you go about building something, and then you can expand on that and build taller buildings or wider buildings, so long as you keep to the scale of, you know, does a car look too big or too small next to this structure based on what I would expect it to look like in a real world scale. So it's been a long one today because I've shown you more than I had intended on showing you. So I'll end it here. Thank you guys who have subscribed to me. That's really awesome. It keeps me motivated. For those of you that are making stuff, please share it on Instagram, share it on social media. Make sure you tag me, Aussie Brick Chick, and I'd love to see your stuff. If I get enough people sharing stuff with me from what they've built, I will make a video showing off everyone's build so that we can see what other people have been making. So that's all for today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye bye.